Hey, welcome back to another episode of Control Your Brain with me, Dr. Trish Leigh. Today I have the illustrious Dr. Cosmas Leigh with me. Cosmas, thank you for joining me.
My pleasure, Trish.
All right. See, I told him when I start the podcast, I will talk, he will cringe, and then we will move on. So we're past that part. I wanted Cosmos to join me today because, like I said in last week's episode, where I talk about going from a mystery illness to a recovery journey that I didn't even know that I needed, it was pivotal along the very long journey that Cosmos really helped me out by figuring out how to address and alleviate the cellular dysfunction, again, that I didn't know was going on. So today, I just wanted us to introduce the ideas of what we learned along this journey because it really is necessary to have a comprehensive approach. And I'll throw it over to Cosmos in a second, but the comprehensive aspect is if you struggle with toxic mold poisoning, which I am affectionately calling indoor air sickness these days because there's one word people don't appreciate, it's mold, and they don't relate with it, but at the same time, it is indoor air sickness. When we're inside a lot, and the air quality isn't good, it isn't healthy, you can get a lot of health problems. So, anyways, with indoor air sickness, we learned that this is a thing that is impacting so many people and they don't even know it. Along the way, I had always been using neurofeedback, which is the modality that I help people with at drtrishleigh.com. But Cosmos has a lot of really cool high tech advanced technology in his office. So he's going to talk about the cellular function piece. You want to say anything, Kaz, or you want me to keep going here on the intro?
You can keep going.
Okay, perfect. So here's the idea is that if you're exposed to something in the air and you don't have high air quality, it can create autonomic nervous system dysfunction. So that impacts the way that your brain performs. It causes brain dysfunction, which then changes the entire way that not only your brain and your nervous system function, but how every cell in your body functions. This is something neither of us knew 5 years ago. And that's why we're currently on a mission to educate and empower people to think about their air quality because it's invisible. And if you struggle with the health issues we're going to continue to talk about in this podcast, I want you to pick up some breadcrumbs back to the air quality. So back to the idea of comprehensive is you have to test your air quality. So below, I'm going to put a link for an easy way for you to test the air quality, easy and affordable to test your air quality. That's step number one. Step number two, you can test your body. That is what Cosmos focuses on. And you can test your brain. That's what I focus on. So the first step that I help people with is something that's called a qEEG brain map, where we can evaluate how a person's brain is operating. Cosmos, would you mind sharing the first step in your process to help people evaluate their cellular function?
Sure, Trish. What we do in the office is a metabolic breath test. And so it's a pretty sophisticated modern technology that will let us know 23 biohacking markers. But mainly what we're looking at is something called your VO2 max or your VO2 peak. And it's the amount of oxygen that you're able to take into your body through your lungs, have it move into the bloodstream and be absorbed and then pushed through the circulatory system by your heart. So you need a lot of oxygen flowing through your bloodstream in order to produce energy and in order to heal. And oftentimes with people with chronic diseases, they have a low VO2 max. In other words, their ability to heal is very low. And then we do that test first. Then we have a therapy called Superhuman protocol, and it's 3 stations. Station 1 is a PEMF biocharging bed, and what that does is it does a lot of things, but the main thing that we're interested in is oxygen diffusion. So in other words, prepping your red blood cells to receive oxygen. Then we have a hypermax oxygen device, and basically it gives you 93% oxygen. So what we do is we put people on stationary bikes or recumbent bike, and then you have oxygen 93%. you're breathing in. So your cells are prepped. Now you're receiving all this oxygen, a lot more than you would normally get. And then we have a powerful red light panel that we have geared a certain way to increase mitochondria function. Your mitochondria, as you remember from high school, are the powerhouses of the cell. We have trillions of them in our body. It's the battery of the cell. And what happens is when you have chronic disease, your mitochondria function diminishes. And you need that mitochondria because it converts oxygen into energy. So it's very important. So subsequently, what happens is your cells are prepped for oxygen, you're receiving way more oxygen than you normally could, and then your mitochondria are being boosted. So your body's ability to heal itself goes way up. It's pretty awesome.
It is pretty awesome. And I know you and I absolutely would have wished that we knew about it much earlier in the game than we did because, after going to so many traditional doctors that don't know anything about toxic mold poisoning or mitochondrial dysfunction, which actually we didn't know that much of when we started this journey, that we spend a lot of time, energy, and money going around and round and round in circles. And then when we kind of figured out this is cellular dysfunction, like throughout the entire body, I know my mind was blown, your mind was blown. And, we understand the journey that people have gone through because also you had to invest in all of that technology and add it to the office, primarily to help me to get over the hump of trying to heal after taking, and I'm sure people can relate to this, 10,000 supplements. And, supplements and nutrition is another aspect that you focus on. And targeted supplementation to facilitate, like you're talking about, cellular function and detoxing, those are the supplements you want to take. And like early in the game, you don't know it. You just start taking everything. And, we've had a couple experiences where I had a D3 situation where, not that I OD'd, but I took too much D3. I didn't know that was a thing, because all the supplements that I was taking had too much D3 in it. The whole point is if you are targeted about this, you can shave years off of the chronic illness recovery journey. And I know a lot of people who are in my position, and I'm sure you remember back, don't think they can ever get better. It's like the most disheartening situation when you don't know what's wrong with you. And first and foremost, and secondarily, you just have no clue what to do to actually get better. So as I kept learning and kept telling you, we kept putting the pieces to the puzzle together. And after you figure it out, if you snap it together, you can actually get better fast. And these are the pieces to the puzzle. Did you have a thought?
Yeah. If we had known early on which steps to take first, which ones not to even bother with, we would have saved a lot of money and a lot of time.
Yes,
stress,
I know. And,
right?
and stress, yeah, stress and anguish and, despair, all words that, I'm a really positive person. So thankfully, I'm always keeping my head above water. But at the same time, I felt like a sinking ship and you're watching the whole thing and we're both trying to problem solve, like just with absolutely no clue. So,
and the thing is, there's a lot of information out there and there's people that can help you. But unfortunately, it's like a deluge of information. You don't know what to do. So you just start trying things and it matters. The order matters.
yes.
It's,
And you know how we know that?
Because we
Because
we did everything
out of order. We did everything out of order, which was really it was mostly me where I'm like, we did this out of order. We have to go back to step 3. And you're like, there's no way we're going back to step 3. I'm like, oh yeah, we are. We have to go back to step 3, even though we're on step 8. And we did, but it caused a lot of heartache because if we would have known it's step 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, we could have just facilitated the whole process. So the whole point is that is why we are here, because we've put together the formula in a way that we can help you if you need the help very quickly or much quicker than you can with our help. Without our help, we've figured it out. So if you are out there struggling alone, first of all, I want you to know in chronic illness, autonomic nervous system dysfunction, no matter what the source, it is at the core because your brain and your nervous system end up on overdrive trying to, keep you going, even though you have some issue that's holding you back. And it creates the perpetual downward spiral, which is known as a negative feedback loop in terms of nervous system and cells. So our goal is to create a positive feedback loop, which is the upward spiral, and then create a flywheel to keep you moving in the right direction. And we were totally psyched. I felt for so long that I was like, on my way into the woods and stuck in the woods. When I felt myself coming out of the woods, it was a magical experience. Even though I was nowhere near out, the fact that I knew I was moving out of the woods gave me such hope, and it really dialed me in and locked in, as the kids say these days, to the things I needed to do, which were reduced in number to a totally manageable handful of things. And that's what I want you to know. So if you're looking for help on the journey, please go over to drtrishleigh.com. The way that I primarily help people is we do a qEEG brain map. I can see the autonomic nervous system dysfunction in your brain pattern. From there, I can help to regulate it using neurofeedback. The way I provide it is at home. We work with people all over the world with all kinds of chronic issues. The way I like to talk about it is it's the major A health crises: anxiety, attention, autoimmune disorders, arousal dysfunction, and addiction. So those are the people that I help, but we can see how your brain's performing. We can show you what you need to heal. In the office, Dr. Cosmas Leigh, do you mind saying what
Sure.
we can do?
And on my end, the brain, the most important nutrient that the brain needs to operate and function properly or optimally is oxygen. So at Leigh Brain and Spine, Leigh, brainandspine.com, we have a therapy, like I said, called Superhuman. And then we do a breath test, an OE breath test, where we're able to diagnose what's actually happening. So we'd be happy to help.
Yeah, sounds great. Well, thank you for joining me. And we will both be back to continue to talk about not only a breath test and Superhuman, but I'm putting together ways that you can help yourself at home efficiently, because I know that was really challenging. You can go to Amazon. I have an Amazon store at Dr. Trish Leigh. We're continually adding products that you can use there that are affordable and accessible. You can grab them easily and start using them. We're going to talk about them here. So on this podcast, we're going to give you things that you can do at home. But if you're looking for professional help and you want to work with either of us or both of us, please reach out, because we'd love to help you. And until next time, control your brain or it'll control you.